How's it going out there, everybody? Bigfoot Mike coming at you live. We got my boy right here, Carl Throwild Jones. We're going to bring you all right here. New segment, new content for Bigfoot. We're trying to feature y'all, some folks involved in the disc golf game, hearing a little bit about where they've come from, their history, their past with it, kind of where they are now, their future, and then us talking a lot about Disc Golf Pro Tour and talking about PDGA, talking about disc golf in general. So right here, y'all, we got Carl Throwild. Carl, tell everybody a little bit about yourself here.
Yo, what's up? It's Crazy Carl, aka Carl Throwild Jones. I'm from Riverside, California, and I basically just got into disc golf because my buddy showed me, and
Heck yeah.
it just took off.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about, whenever you first got started, how old were you, and kind of who those early influencers were, and kind of your home course, and kind of walk us through those early days.
So I got into disc golf around 2009, 2010. I forget how, I was probably like 25, something like that. I just really, like, my buddy, he came from Michigan and moved down to Texas and was like, hey man, like, I used to live with him. He was like, hey dude, you ever heard of frisbee golf? And I was like, no. I was just like, yeah. But I was like, no, I never heard about it, dude. Like, so he basically took me to the course in McKinney, Texas, Alex Clark. This is the first course I ever played. Walked up, threw the disc. I've played frisbee back as a kid and stuff like that. And so I really got hooked on it. And so he started a family, and I just started traveling and playing disc golf courses all over United States, and I just got hooked. So
nice. So those early days, kind of walk us through you remember your first disc and kind of what make and model, and do you remember kind of that first disc that was given to you or that you had purchased?
So my first disc I probably ever had was an AVR, and I bought it probably at Smoking Glassworks, Smoking G's in McKinney, Texas, and it was a head shop. And so I liked smelling the discs. They always smell like non-champa, and so it was pretty cool. But yeah, that's basically where I got mine.
So, in those early days, I know as a beginner, I'm sure that, disc golf is a little daunting. It's a lot to take in. You're learning skills. You're trying to kind of develop your form, and maybe talk us through, did you have kind of someone that helped show you the ropes, and kind of how you first got into like practicing, and kind of what your approach was when you're kind of in those early days of your disc golf career?
So yeah, the guy that got me into it, Nate Vries, he's like my brother. We would just literally go out to a field by the house in Anna, Texas, and just throw this, throw that, try this, try that. And eventually I just start, cutting off by myself, and I wanted to learn how to throw that putter straight. And so I would just go out to the field and I would try it every angle, throw it this way, throw it that way, more speed, less speed, and then I started learning about wind.
There we go. So whenever, I guess, I know for me, and I'm sure a lot of folks that are tuning in, I mean, I think everybody has kind of a unique, start in the game, and obviously you kind of get into the scene and you're practicing, you start playing minis. Do you remember your first mini, and kind of talk us through, what you're feeling, and kind of how you approach that first step? Because I feel like for a lot of golfers, that you start coming to minis, and you start to feel it a little bit.
So I mean, like my first mini I ever played, I shot like a 77. It was pretty bad. It was at Town Lake. I was all over the place. I had no control. Had a great run up. Everything looked presentable because I was throwing a putter most of the time. But when I got into drivers, I learned that you can't always throw them straight. And so I would go to tournaments and I'd be in the water, be over here, be frustrated. And so what I would do is I would just go back to the field. I was always going back to day one of how I'd thrown that putter straight. And so basically would just almost use that as the guideline for drivers and mid-ranges and stuff like that. And so, but once I kept doing it and doing it and doing it, and I would go out and play with the homies, play minis and stuff like that. And I got my first win, and then once I learned how to do that, I just kept applying it.
Nice. So. Do you remember, I know this might be tough because we're talking about years and years ago, but do you remember your first birdie and what hole and what course that was? I know that's a tough one. That's putting you on the spot.
I mean, I could tell you about my first ace.
Let's do that.
Cause I mean, I've seen a lot of birdies, but my first ace was at Alex Clark, McKinney, Texas, hole 2, and I've hit this hole the most out of any holes. I've hit it 13 times, all different ways. But my first time I ever hit it was with an AVR, and it was an Annie. It was across my body. And a buddy kept telling me, he goes, why do you keep trying to throw across your body? I really love this shot. I throw it with drivers all the time now. And then I just threw it across the chest on an Annie, all air, and just went in. Bang! But there was no sound. I didn't hear nothing. And some dude walking from hole 6, he goes, hey man, you know you aced that, right? And I'm looking at him like, man, get out of here, bro. Like, never. Usually you're like, ching, you're yelling, you know, let's go. Nothing. Like, no reaction. I look, it's just sitting in the basket.
Dang.
And I was like, yo, that probably had to be like the perfect shot.
Man.
And so like, that's how I got started.
That's awesome. Well, I know that's for, you know, a lot of people. I think you kind of come through these like milestone moments, and obviously for a lot of players, it kind of brings back a little bit of memories on like, man, you get into the game, you're practicing, you're working at it, and then boom, you start to see it. And sometimes it kind of happens out of the blue. But how many career aces do you have, Carl?
I have 52.
Woo-hoo! That's a lot. That's amazing, man. That's awesome. What would you say? Do you have one ace like memorable? Maybe it's a tournament ace. Maybe it was big pot, ace pot ace. Or what would you say is like your most memorable out of all your aces?
All right, so I was working at Ben & Jerry's ice cream shop. They have one in McKinney, and I would play like every day before I went to work. And I signed up for this tournament, and only reason I tell you about the Ben & Jerry's because this is the first time I got a paid vacation off of an ace. And so I forget what disc I had. I had this sweet disc, and right before the tournament, one of my buddies named Connor, he goes, hey Carl, man, I know you like these discs. I don't like it. And it was a Champ Rock plus mode. And it had like a pop top on it. I was like, sweet, dude, I love these. And so we did a trade right before the tournament, like a day before the tournament. And so the tournament was at the Colony, and it's called Bill Allen. And so I walked up, and I mean, it's a little dinky hole, man. You know, it's like it's probably maybe 120, maybe even that. And I just walked up. I just came from getting like an 8 on one of the holes, so I'm like pissed. You know what I mean? I'm like, something's gotta give, right? You know? And so I walk up, hole 14. I just throw a hyzer, just straight hyzer. It didn't flip flat, did nothing. And I just hit it, bang! And I was up for 620 or something. It was like 625 or something, just straight ace. I was like, yeah. They were like, did you put $5 in? I was like, I always do. You know what I mean? So I hit that, and then somebody else hit hole 3, and so we had to split. But I still had enough money to go to Washington State for a whole week.
Nice.
And so that ace paid for me for my little ice cream job to go to Washington State for a whole week. And
Heck
so
yeah.
that's probably one of the money makers I've actually gotten paid off a check on an ace. But
So do you remember your first tournament? I know, of course, this is maybe it was a flex start, maybe it was a C tier, but do you remember what course and who the TD was, who was putting that event on?
yeah, I remember I played. It was Alex Clark. It was my first rec tournament, and Dwayne Furr was running straight line disc.
Nice.
And I actually, my buddy signed me up for the tournament, and he put me in rec. And Dwayne tells me, he goes, "Do you better kill it?" Because at the time I was playing open and minis and stuff like that, and so I probably should have played advanced or something like that. But my buddy signed me up. He's like, "Dude, we're playing rec," thinking we're gonna play on the same card. We didn't. I never played on the whole round.
Oh, that's funny.
And so this guy, he basically never played the course, and this is my home course, and I beat him by 1.
Dang,
And
man.
so I got first place, and then so I got a signed disc and a video,
Nice.
VHS, Clash of the Titans. Barry Schultz signed it.
Nice.
I still have it.
Man, I was gonna say, I know, I think everybody through their disc golf career, there's little things you put up on the wall, maybe it's some ace discs and, trophies and stuff. Well, walk us through kind of, if we could kind of have a picture of your disc golf area, what would you say is on it? Maybe some collector discs, some limited stuff. I don't know. Talk us through that.
So I started collecting all my ace discs, and then you come to find people that say, "Oh no, I aced and I keep throwing it." So there's a part where there's like 1 through 15, and then there's like a couple that are lost or gone. You want to throw it a bunch of times, and so once I got to 20, I got like a set of 20, a set of 30, a set of 40, and then so there's this time I walked into Replay Sports in McKinney, Texas, and I told him, I said, "Hey man, when I get to my 30th ace, is there any way I can hang it on your wall?" And he goes, "Why would you want to do that?" I was like, "Well, I mean, just to, either show it off, because I never thought we'd get to 30, 20 was a good one, 30. And so once I got to 30, I brought that disc in. I was like, "Hey man, you hang it up." And then next thing you know, it started a trend, and then people start coming in and bringing in their first ace or their 60th ace, or however. And so
That's awesome.
like I think it's cool to just show it off, because I mean it just it shows you that like you started here and then now you could be over here if you just keep applying the same thing. And
Sure.
yeah, so that's pretty
What
cool.
would you say? I know, again, this one might be a tough question to answer, but I know through everybody's career, again, you kind of hit this point where you're like, man, something kind of clicks. I'm finally getting the timing, finally getting the form, and I know I almost feel like there's multiple milestones, but I think there's one in particular that it's like, maybe it's that first time you really fully understand the grip and, throwing a big hyzer, throwing a big forehand. Kind of talk us through, I know you mentioned this earlier with your field work, but is there kind of a routine that you would do where it's like, hey, I'm gonna go 20 here, 20 this, 20 that? Kind of talk us through that first moment that kind of really clicked with you as a player and with your form.
So I always go back to the putter, is because like for me, like I ran into a good buddy of mine. The first time I met him was at Sela Ranch. His name is Chris Farnham, and Farnham can crush. And I'm a tall guy, but Farnham, he's a little shorter than I am. Average height, I would say, athletic body. And I seen him at Sela Ranch. We played around, and I happened to be in his hometown, Tyler, Texas. I was out there playing Lindsay Park with my older brother, and my older brother was like, I kept telling him, I was like, man, I met so many cool people, da da da. And he's like, there's no way you would know anybody at this disc golf course. And so next thing you know, I was telling him just about him. He pulls up and dude jumps out. He's like, Carl, what's up, dude? I'm like, yo, what's up, Farnham? And so basically, Farnham told me, he was like, it doesn't matter how tall you are, how short you are, any of that. It's all about form and how fast that disc comes out your hand.
Yeah.
And so I took that, and like you'll go through a lot of disc golfers, a lot of people telling you a bunch of stuff, and you can look online and everything. And so I just took that from, he's like, I know how you throw that putter, just always think about the form and how you want it to come out your hand, and just everything the way it looks. And so I would go to the field and I would just practice on the same thing. If it was a driver, mid-range, I would throw it the same way every time. I only throw power grip off the tee. I don't do any modified grips or like that. I just slowed the disc down with my snap. Mm-hmm. It's what I learned over time. But when it really snapped for me is when I was in Washington State. Or no, I was in Colorado Springs. And this is where I learned how to throw a hyzer flip turnover. Mm-hmm. And it would just go for days. It would never come down. These dudes are like, how are you from Texas smashing out here in the mountains like that? Because once you learn the flip and everything else, and it all comes with field work most of the time, because a lot of times there's a lot of trees all over the place, so you almost have to learn so once you learn your flip outside of the trees, and it's just insane. I probably did more field work than I actually really play rounds, because I'm a goofball. I like to just throw crazy stuff just to see what it'll do. And so the field really helped me. And then when I learned to win and everything else, it just clicked.
Man, I understand. So tell me through, I know, again, I think everybody, when you get playing long enough with disc golf, you kind of get a nickname, and I know with yours being Crazy Carl and then Throwild, I kind of talk us through a little bit about how that started, who kind of was the influences behind that, and then how it all kind of came together to present day.
So like I said, the field work and learning the putter and stuff like that. I went to a tournament, got sponsored. It was 6 of us. It was the first team. I think it was supposed to be like Texas teams, but it was at Sela Ranch. It was maybe 4 teams.
Nice.
Our first people we had to play was Barry Schultz and Navy Ken.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty hardcore. Let me tell you. And and I can throw far, but I still kind of was learning that controls. And what was the question again?
I forgot. No, it was how you got your name.
Oh, okay. So all right, so we're at this tournament, right? And so Navy Ken's there, Barry Wayne's there, and the buddy I was playing with, Jeremy. And so this hole, it's like, I forget what hole it is. I believe it's hole 3, and you're throwing back towards the campground. And so there's this big old tree, and there's the trash can. And then like from that trash can, it's probably like 50 feet to the left. And so I walk up, and it's like, it's an upshot. It's probably like, I don't know how far. It was probably like 300 maybe, something like that.
Right.
And I pulled out a buzz. And I lined it up. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna crush this thing, and you got those big dudes over here. And I smash it, and I mean, it goes dead straight. It looks so good, and they're looking at it, and I'm looking at them, looking at it. I'm like, oh, it better go in, and it hits into the top of the tree, and then it like trickles down, and then it falls in the trash can. And I'm like, I'm going crazy just because I hit something, what I mean? I'm like, I didn't care if it hit the basket. What I mean? I just made it in the trash can. Like, who's doing that? You know what I mean? So, my first name was Trash Can Carl.
Trash Can Carl.
Yeah, and then turned into Boom Boom.
Okay.
Because, you know, the boom. And then eventually Antics, and knowing me at different tournament parties, it turned into Crazy Carl eventually. And then it
Nice.
just kind of stuck with
Kind of evolved a little bit. And then, so then from there, kind of to Throwild, how did that kind of Throwild come into play?
So a lot of times we would go play and I would just try to throw crazy stuff. And so Crazy, and then Carl, and then sometimes people would say it without my knowledge. They'd be like, man, that was crazy, Carl. And I was like, oh, Crazy Carl. And sometimes, like, a lot of my friends call me like, yo, what up, Crazy? You know what I mean? And so, but one of the times it was the Old Man Memorial, Dynamic Disc ran it, and they had a free keg after tournament, and so they had their first store, I believe it was in Louisville.
Okay.
It was right after tournament, and so they had their traveling RV, and they're all playing putting games, stuff like that. So they're playing these are the bread, bring it up, and so I like to dance, I like to, you know, entertain. So I jumped on the RV and I started pop blocking, break dancing on the RV, and then that kind of sealed the deal for the Crazy Carl. And
I love it, man. I love it.
I think I still have that on video, so
that is awesome.
We'll have to bring that back up.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I know, you know, transitioning, you know, from obviously, you know, getting into tournaments, getting in, you know, your game is improving. You're kind of getting to a point where it's like, hey, now we're trying to kind of get into that next serious step. Kind of talk me through it, you know, with your playing career. Obviously, it's you know, on such a great trajectory. Was there kind of a point where you're like, you know what, man, I'm gonna start playing MPOs? How did you kind of know when that time was right? And I'll say this because I know there's a lot of players out there in the MA1s, you know, and they're solid, but they're like, man, you know, I don't know if I'm ready for that, you know. And so maybe talk us through kind of how you kind of made that choice, and how you felt when you felt you were ready.
Honestly, I really didn't play a lot of tournaments as an amateur. I just really, like, it was all really about practice. And then for a couple of years, all I did was travel and play golf, you know. And there really wasn't too much of a serious thing besides going to minis and stuff like that, winning money, playing doubles and stuff like that. So eventually, I wanted to come out of amateur and make the money, you know. And so I played, I think my first win, I got like 4th place. I played Turner Park.
Okay.
And this is when Emerson was turning from amateur into a pro. In Dwayne Fur, because that's the tournaments I used to travel through, is straight line disc and dynamic disc, stuff like that. And so he basically told me on my last strike to go into open, my last cash out, he goes, you sure you want to go into open? You stay amateur? And, you know, the way I was looking at it, I was spending money. You know what I mean? I'm spending money. I didn't want plastic.
Right.
And I wasn't into, like, selling plastic because all I wanted to do was throw it.
Right.
And so I basically made the decision right then and there. I was like, well, I mean, eventually I might get first at some point, but, you know, I like tournament golf.
Sure.
It's different. The preparing for it, going to the tournaments and everything else, I was just always into that. And so I got my last cash and I went straight into open, and it was tough. And not even that the competition was tough, it was the part of, you know, not winning, coming in last place, taking that defeat, going home, reworking it, having to go back to your 9 to 5.
Sure.
And just doing it all over until you get those wins, until you learn how to win, until you take the proper steps on training and getting your body right for what you're gonna be doing. You're gonna be playing disc golf in and out like all year, you know what I mean? And it's a battle.
I think just like most sports and most anything, there's levels to everything you do. I mean, and I know there's a jump, you know, it seems like, you know, especially now with the boom of disc golf, I mean, there's people that, I mean, you got to be solid, even, you know, even in something like the MA3 division, you got to be shooting 900 rated rounds now.
They're not playing around.
And I think that there's a phase to this, and there's levels to all this, but I always find that, man, there's a lot of really top, strong MA1 level players, but boy, there's still a gap between that level and a pro level, because I mean, you're coming, you better have, it's all on the line. You better be ready to rock and roll, controlling your emotions, the highs, the lows, and just being able to play within yourself sometimes, and feeling comfortable even when you're not comfortable. And I think that's what some of the pros that we see on TV, I think they do that very well. And maybe talk me through, you know, those early, you know, I guess those early pro days, as you kind of mentioned. I know there's some hard days, some better days. Kind of, how did you handle those emotions? I mean, obviously you mentioned you're practicing more, you're trying to improve some of the things. Were you working with, you know, kind of a group of other guys that, you know, y'all kind of had this kind of a scenario where y'all was iron sharpens iron, you're playing with better players, or was it just you were gonna kind of focus this on your own? Kind of talk us through that.
So I mean, I've been in sport for years, and so the dudes that I came up playing with, they basically prepared me to play anything. So like Nolan Grider is my neighbor. Like, dude's been whooping me for years.
Wow.
I've beat him one time because he beat himself in the tournament.
Sure.
And I beat him by a couple of strokes. But I mean, like, sometimes you don't even know who you're playing with. I've been playing like Eric McCabe. I didn't even know who he was until I was like, "Oh, dude, you're Eric McCabe." And he was like, "Dude, Carl, like, you didn't even know, like, you were playing great without knowing who I was." You know what I'm saying? Like, and so you just get around good players, bad players. I mean, you can learn from any player, basically.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Just have an open mind.
Sure.
And be willing to go out, and sometimes when I go and practice, it's not always a good practice.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I'm not bashing 30 footers like as soon as I walk up. So I go and I was like, hold on, I'm gonna start, shorter and then work my way out and stuff like that. And so just playing casual rounds, I'll be like, oh my flick's off. All right, I'm gonna have to get back to the field.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's things I do by myself, even though I play in a big group or something like that. So I always take something away. Even though if I don't get a birdie, maybe I might hit a 40-footer to save par. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I take that away. I always try to take one good thing away instead of trying to go home super angry, beating yourself up because you should have got a 4 instead of a 5. You know what I'm saying? So and that'll help you to, if you do go, because I mean, I've been to tournaments out of state, spent a lot of money, and did really bad, and come home and be like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna gotta go back to work, gotta go back to putting. And it seems daunting, but I mean, I enjoyed it. Like, the failures is what made me learn how to win. That's
a funny but a very true statement. It's like, people with money leave with an experience, and people with experience leaving with money. And I think that you can apply that to every phase of disc golf and life in general. I mean, how many times we see it, in other walks of life and things outside of disc golf. But I think that is one of the tough things about it. And I know, dealing with the growth of the sport and all these new players, I think sometimes there's a lot of discouragement. Even they come to minis and they feel like they're donating their money. But what's interesting, and I feel like every player, I'm sure, Carl, you could probably attest to this too, is that we all kind of donate money for a little bit, and you got to put in the work. I think the one thing I see sometimes too is, people show up to the minis, but you could tell they haven't really been in the field. They haven't been practicing, and so they think they're just gonna be able to show up and there's something crazy is gonna happen. I mean, you know, it's just
there's only certain few that can do that. You know what I mean? Thanks.
And so I've always felt like that's something that you got to take your lumps, but you got to learn quickly, and it seems like that's something you've done really well, and so I think that's obviously a testament to you're putting in the time, crafting the skills, and just sometimes it's just that sweat equity, you know, and you're out there and when no one else wants to be, and that's why you've gotten where you've gotten. And so no, I think we're gonna do here, we pulled up, I'm gonna flip this around here so y'all can see this, but I'm taking Carl right here to Portillos right here. This is a Chicago classic right here, and we're about to order. So what we're gonna do, y'all, we're gonna order. We've been in line this whole time here. It's been it's crazy. There's got to be at least, I don't know, at least 150 cars right now, 2 lanes. Everybody's going wild here. So we're gonna order some Italian roast beef sandwiches, and we're gonna test them out. This is brand new to the Colony area. We're gonna see how this is. We're gonna get our live reaction. Ready, y'all? First podcast, and the GoPro dies. We've been in line here at Portillos for about an hour, and then look at what's on my gas right there, y'all. Look at that.
Let's go.
Look at that, dude. 0. We might, hey, I'll be honest, we might have to get out and push this
might be
vehicle.
leg day today.
So we don't know. We're pausing right now the podcast while we deal. We've been waiting on our food, and we've already paid. We've got it all ready, and we're gonna have to scramble. Once we get the food, we're gonna have to scramble to a gas station, and then we're gonna pick the podcast back up. So pardon our interruption. Oh shit! All right, we're out. Here it is, y'all. It took us an hour and 45 minutes, but here we are getting close to getting the food. Dude, I've been hungry all day, but dude, I'm about to just, I don't know if I'm gonna make it here. Could y'all hook us up with an extra fry for the wait? I gotta ask.
Today you want me to get me fired. You know, they fire us over cheese sauce.
Are you serious?
Woo!
Wow.
They don't play. Even being an employee,
Dang.
they tell you as an employee, if you don't have, you get $11 a day, right?
Whoa, yeah.
And if you get something that doesn't cover the $11,
They make you
and
pay
you
it?
say, oh, well, just give me a cheese sauce, it's just a cheese sauce, they will literally walk you out the door.
Whoa, damn. They're not playing. Dang, okay. Well, I had to ask.
You should see most of the employees when they start, and we have to tell them that.
Right.
And they're like, and you can see the look on their faces like, should I quit now or later? Seriously.
Alrighty, y'all. We got the food right here after what seems to be like an hour plus. And we're at the gas station. Look at where we're at, y'all. We're in the red down there. Look at that. We're going to fuel up and literally also eat and fuel up. And then we're going to keep this thing rolling. So here we go.
Yeah. Didn't even have to go to Chicago, bro. Facts. Oh, yeah.
On a scale 1 to 10, where are we at, Carl?
This is bomb.
Is it worth it, that hour plus?
Oh, yeah.
You know what, though? They got mine right. I got mine plain. Carl got his with peppers. You think it's a must-visit place?
Oh, bro. Y'all gotta check this out. Go here and then go to Bill Allen and play around.
There we go. I'm going to test it out. I'm going to see, because I've actually been, I've had this in Chicago, so I know what the real one tastes like. We're about to see if this is the real one right here. Here we go.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
Solid.
I work down the street from here, so it ain't nothing but the same to me.
Man, I mean, it's just the bread, the beef. I mean, man, they got it. They got it.
Yo, and these peppers are hot, too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We got the number ones, the big beefs with the large fry, large drink. And I mean, it was a little pricey, $34, but you know what? Hey, a little bit of Chicago in Texas, I'll take it.
This is awesome. I don't even think I'm gonna be able to eat them fries. Mm-hmm.
Shout out Portillos right here, the Colony.
Yo.
I know there's gonna be a lot of people in Oklahoma watch this. They'll be like, "Oh, Mike, I'm too far from the Colony." Well, you know what? Next time you're in Dallas, playing a tournament, wherever you're going, boom, the Colony right here, y'all. Portillos, shout out, sponsorship.
Facts. Mm.
If you had to rate it, Carl, 1 to 10, you got to use a decimal point though. No whole numbers. What would you rate it? 1 to 10.
11.5. Killer. I tried to make one of these at home. It was bomb, but it wasn't like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this took some time, some care. You know, I'm in love. Mm-hmm.
Well, I know y'all, I've been hungry, been waiting on this. And man, I'm gonna have to score this one. I'm gonna go 9.7. It's gonna be tough to beat this, I'll be honest with you. As far as Italian beef sandwiches though, this is number one. There's not even really a close second, honestly. If you know, comment below if you know of another really legit Italian roast beef sandwich place. Comment below, because we're about to put it to the test, because right now this is gonna be a tough one to beat.
Them pickled peppers, bro. Ugh. Killer. I might just have to go get those separate from the sandwich. They're killer. I love them. Mm-hmm. And I watched videos on this, like, right before Mike hit me up for this, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm down, because I want to, like, try the authentic. Because everything I cook is good, you know what I mean? No, I'm joking. There's been bad days. Now, all we gotta do is hydrate.
Let's try the fries, Jerry. Get the fry review in. I've had the fries in Chicago, so we're about to test and see how good the fries are.
All right.
What do you compare them to? Like, what other place would you say?
Fries like this reminds me of Brahms.
Okay.
And you know, Brahms go hard. Back of burgers, can't beat that. But these fries are good. I don't like my fries to be like overly seasoned, but these are nice. It's pretty good. Yeah, this is bomb.
Yeah, I'll be honest. These fries, y'all, these are like your 5.1 level fry. Nothing crazy. Nothing, I mean, it's not bad. It's just, you know, if you want a little seasoning on them, this ain't it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to bring your own seasoning for these fries. These are just, I would call these your average French fries. You know what I'm saying? If you could look up average French fries in the dictionary, these ones would come up. And I consider myself a French fry connoisseur. So, like I said, it ain't bad, but it has got nothing on the sandwich, straight up. All right, y'all, they did forget the straws. We got to factor that in. You know, fries, not bad, but the sandwich is bomb. I feel like I have life again. I mean, what a place, y'all. What a place. We just fueled up.
Look at that glisten.
We are gonna have to do some dry cleaning, y'all. We ate this right here, and my pants is soaked. I mean, just that au jus coming into the pants. I mean, Gonna have to throw these in the washer tonight. But you know what? It's worth it, y'all. It's worth it. It was a little pricey, but you know what? A little bit of authentic Chicago flavor.
I mean, think about the plane ticket that you had to get to go to Chicago. I don't know how traffic it is or anything
Dude,
like
I
that.
told Carl I get to go to Chicago. I have family in Chicago, so I get to go with my wife. And last summer we took the girls, and I mean, we went to Ports at least 4 times. And I'm telling you right now, it's just, that's what I want to do. There's a couple other places, Giordano's Pizza. I was telling Carl, Lou Malnati's. There's a few spots over there that you gotta go, but Portillos, y'all, is for me, that's a spot. That's a BigFoot approved location. I'm just glad we had a chance. We battled the crowd, y'all. Be careful. Plan yourselves. If you want to get some Portillos, you better get and plan for at least an hour and a half to 2 hours, because the workers, everybody in there, they're trying. I mean, they're running around, they're trying to figure it out, but they're still cutting their teeth. I mean, it was a little rough around the edges, you know. But if you can stomach that and stomach the price tag, for me, even though I was very hungry, on a scale of 1 to 10 on my hunger, I was at about a 9.1. That shit hit the spot. Carl, any last things you want to say about it?
Super good. Look at the grease on the hand. I know that's true because I watched tons of videos on how to make it. I've made it, and then, man, I even dipped it in. Like, I had the wrong bread. Like, I was just messing it up. But this was awesome. Don't even have to go to Chicago. I would love to go. Don't get me wrong. I heard they have great golf out there.
PDGA tournaments coming soon.
And I got some homies out there too, so you know what it is. You know, we're gonna get out there and just, I love to eat, so that was good. That was good. You know what I mean?
All right, y'all. This is the first installment of the BigFoot food reviews. Thank you, Carl Throwild, jumping in,
Always.
giving y'all the Portillos lowdown here in the Colony, Texas. Look them up, follow them on Facebook. This ain't no paid advertisement, y'all. They need to come sponsor BigFoot and Throwild. So if Portillos is y'all watching, hit us up, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. We will gladly wear your merch and wear your stuff. Hit us up. We want some more Italian roast beef sandwiches in our life. Thank y'all for tuning in. BigFoot Mike, Carl Throwild, we're out.
Peace.